You think you're saving the world in that uniform, don't you? Claire. My brother Ethan's voice, sharp and smug, echoes in my memory as I grip the steering wheel. The silver eagle insignia in my pocket feels heavier than it should. He doesn't know what's coming. Neither do they. The road to Asheville, North Carolina, winds through hills dusted with late summer haze. My hands are steady, but my pulse ticks faster than I'd like. I'm 29, a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force, one of the youngest in Cyber Command. 6 years ago, I left this city, its charming brick storefronts, its craft breweries, its expectations, and I haven't been back since. Now, I'm driving to my childhood home, where my family still sees me as the kid who made a reckless choice. Asheville's skyline emerges, a blend of historic charm and modern ambition. My father, Richard Thompson, is a vice president at Apex Security Solutions, a defense tech firm that's the pride of this city. My brother, Ethan, followed him there, climbing the corporate ladder with a grin I can still picture. Me, I chose the Air Force, specializing in cybersecurity, protecting networks that keep nations safe. My family doesn't get it. To them, I'm chasing a vague dream, not building a career. They know I'm an officer, sure. But the details, promotions, deployments, the stakes, those never made it into our phone calls. Tomorrow, Apex hosts its annual gala, where CEO Patricia Lang will spotlight a $1.5 billion Air Force contract for next-gen cyber defenses. I'm the liaison for that contract, the one who approves every line of code, every budget line. My family thinks I'm just tagging along for the event. They don't know I'm the one Apex answers to. The thought sends a jolt through me, not vindication, not yet, but something close. I grew up on Air Force bases, watching my grandfather, a retired major, polish his medals. He taught me what service means. At UNC, I earned an ROTC scholarship, diving into systems analysis while my peers partied. By 25, I was a captain, leading a team to secure classified networks. Now, I'm a lieutenant colonel, a rank most don't hit until their 40s. It's not luck, it's relentless work, missed holidays, and decisions that keep me up at night. Ever been underestimated by the people who know you best? Felt your work dismissed as less than share your story in the comments? I want to hear it. The exit for my old street appears, and I turn. The Craftsman house coming into view. Same porch swing, same oak tree. I park, my boots hitting the gravel. The silver eagle stays in my pocket, a quiet promise. Tonight, I'm their daughter, their sister. Tomorrow, I'm something else entirely. The gravel crunches under my boots as I step onto the porch. The old Craftsman house staring back like an old friend who's forgotten my name. The air smells of cut grass and my mother's rose garden, unchanged since I was a kid. I push open the front door. The familiar creak louder than I remember. Inside, the living room is a snapshot of my past threadbare couch, family photos on the mantle, none past my high school graduation. My Air Force life doesn't exist here. Claire, you're back. My mother, Margaret, emerges from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Her smile is polite, the kind you give a guest, not a daughter you haven't seen in 6 years. Try not to scuff the floor. Okay. Her tone's light, but there's an edge, like my presence is already a disruption. I nod, setting my bag by the stairs. Good to see you too, Mom. My father, Richard, is at the dining table, glasses perched on his nose, scrolling through emails on his phone. Apex business, always. He glances up, his face softening just a fraction. Claire. Flight, okay. It's the closest he gets to warmth, and I take it. Smooth enough, I say, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. He grunts, already back to his screen. The doorbell chimes, and my brother Ethan strides in, his wife, Lauren, trailing behind in a cloud of perfume. Ethan's in a crisp button-down, every inch the apex rising star. "Hey, sis," he says, his grin sharp, like he's sizing me up. "Still out there saving the world. It's the same jab from last summer's call. Half teasing, half digging." Lauren offers a tight smile. "Must be exciting. All that travel." "We're renovating the guest house now. You should see it." Her voice is syrupy, but the subtext is clear. My life's a curiosity, not a rival to their polished success. I force a nod. Sounds nice. Years of briefings have taught me to keep my cool. But Ethan's smugness tests it. He's already pivoting to Richard. Voice loud. "Dad, got a meeting with Patricia next week. She's eyeing me for the cybersecurity contract lead." Margaret lights up, carrying a bowl of salad to the table. "That's our Ethan. Always a step ahead." Richard nods. Pride flickering. "Big deal, son. That contract's Apex's future." Nobody mentions my work. They know I'm in the Air Force, an officer even, but to them, it's a vague side note, not the career that's had me briefing Pentagon officials. I slip my hand into my pocket, the Silver Eagle insignia cool against my fingers. Tomorrow's gala will change that. Ethan's contract, I'm the one steering it. The Air Force liaison with the final word. They'll see soon enough. Ever walked into a room where you're family but feel like a stranger? Share your story in the comments. I follow Margaret to the table, the scent of her cooking pulling me back to childhood. Tonight, I'm just Claire, the one who left. But tomorrow, I'll be the one they can't ignore. I slip upstairs, the narrow hallway dim and familiar, the scent of old wood and lavender trailing me. My old bedroom door creaks as I push it open. The space is frozen posters of indie bands curled at the edges, a shelf of debate trophies, a faded UNC pennant. My high school self lingers here. But the woman I've become, she's nowhere in sight. No trace of my Air Force commissions, no shadow box for my medals. My family stopped collecting me the day I chose a different path. I sit on the bed, the springs groaning under my weight. My fingers trace the quilt stitches, each one a memory. I'm 19 again, at the dining table downstairs. An Air Force ROTC brochure spread out like a battle plan. It's not just college. I'd told my parents, my voice firm despite the shake in my hands. It's a career. Cybersecurity stopping threats before they hit. I want this. My father, Richard, had leaned back, his face hard. The military, Claire. You could be at Apex, building real systems, not playing defense. My mother, Margaret, had sighed, softer but no less cutting. You're too smart for that life. They didn't see what I saw. At a UNC lecture, Major General Susan Hayes had spoken about cyber warfare networks as battlefields, code as ammunition. Her words hit me like a spark. She'd stayed after, answering my questions about encryption protocols with a glint in her eye. "You've got the mind for this. Thompson," she'd said, "we need people who think 3 steps ahead." That was it. I applied for ROTC, earned a scholarship, and dove into systems analysis while my classmates chased internships. It wasn't all glory. At 24, I faced a choice, a cushy job at a Raleigh tech startup. 6 figures, flexible hours. I almost took it. But then came a call for a classified op in Qatar, securing comms against a state-sponsored hack. I led a small team, working through sandstorms and 16-hour shifts, tracing malware that could have exposed troop movements. We stopped it, saved lives without firing a shot. That got me to captain, then major by 27. Susan pinned my Lieutenant Colonel Eagle 3 months ago, her voice steady. You're one of a kind. Claire, my family didn't come. They were at Ethan's promotion party at Apex. I unzipped my suitcase, pulling out my dress uniform. The midnight blue fabric is crisp, the silver eagle catching the lamplight. At 29, I'm one of Cyber Command's youngest lieutenant colonels, a rank earned through missions my family will never know. Tomorrow's Apex Gala isn't about proving them wrong, it's about standing in my truth. They'll see me, not as the girl who left, but as the officer I've built. Ever chosen a path no one else understood? Felt it was right. Even when they doubted, drop it in the comments. I hang the uniform in the closet, its weight settling my nerves. The house is quiet now, but tomorrow, my voice will carry. The dining room hums with the clink of silverware and the low glow of the chandelier. But there's a tension beneath it, like a wire pulled taut. I settle into my chair, the same one I claimed as a kid, its wood worn smooth by years of family dinners. My mother, Margaret, sets a platter of pot roast on the table, her movements precise, her smile aimed at my brother, Ethan. My father, Richard, pours himself a glass of red wine, his phone still buzzing with Apex notifications. Ethan and his wife, Lauren, sit across from me. Their polished ease a stark contrast to my quiet reserve. My cousin Jessica, visiting from Durham, catches my eye with a quick, genuine grin. She's the only one here who doesn't make me feel like I'm on trial. Ethan dives in, his voice loud, confident. So, Dad, I'm pitching to Patricia next week, the cybersecurity contract. They're leaning toward me for lead. It's a game changer. Margaret's eyes light up. Oh, Ethan, that's incredible. You've always had that drive. Richard nods, swirling his wine. Big responsibility. That $1.5 billion deal's the heart of Apex's future. You've got this, son. I grip my fork. The silver eagle insignia in my pocket, a silent anchor. That contract is my domain. Every protocol. Every dollar runs through me as the Air Force liaison. Ethan's pitching for a role I already oversee, and he doesn't even know. I keep my face neutral, trained by years of high-stakes briefings to stay composed. Lauren turns to me, her smile too bright. Claire, how's all that Air Force stuff still moving around a lot? Her tone's polite, but it's laced with a subtle dig. Like my life's a quirky detour. Margaret chimes in, her voice softer but no less pointed. It's just so unpredictable, isn't it? You were always so organized. Claire, I thought you'd want something steadier, like Ethan. Jessica jumps in, her voice warm but firm. Come on, Aunt Margaret. Claire's not exactly drifting. She's an officer. Right. That's huge. Ethan chuckles, leaning back. Sure, Jess, but let's be real. Military's mostly reports and drills. Not like running a project that keeps Apex ahead of the curve. His words aren't cruel, just careless. Like my career's a footnote he's skimmed over. Richard glances my way, his brow furrowed. You're still what? A major or something? He tries. But the guess is off, and it stings. Lieutenant Colonel, I say, quietly, cutting into my roast. The table goes still for a moment, but Margaret brushes it off. Well, that's nice, dear. But Ethan's got 12 people reporting to him now. Can you imagine? I nod, swallowing the urge to correct her. They know I'm in the Air Force, but the scope briefing generals, stopping cyber attacks, shaping a $1.5 billion contract never sank in. Tomorrow's gala will change that. Ever sat through a meal where your life felt like background noise? Share it in the comments. I take a sip of water, my resolve sharpening. Tonight, I'm their afterthought. Tomorrow, I'll be the one they can't look away from. I close the bedroom door, the faint clatter of dishes from downstairs fading away. The room's quiet, save for the hum of crickets outside, their song slipping through the cracked window. My childhood bed creaks as I sit, the quilt's familiar pattern grounding me. I unzip my suitcase, pulling out the garment bag with my dress uniform. The midnight blue fabric unfolds, crisp and heavy with purpose, its silver eagle insignia glinting in the lamplight. At 29, I'm a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force Cyber Command, a rank earned through missions that left me sleepless but unbroken. Tomorrow's Apex Gala is where I show my family what that means. My phone buzzes a text from Captain Ramirez, my deputy. "Ma'am, heads up, Mark Tanner's stirring trouble. Heard he's prepping a slide deck to outshine Ethan at the gala. Wants the contract lead bad. Mark, Ethan's rival at Apex, is all ambition and sharp elbows. The kind who'd sell out a teammate for a corner office." I frown. Typing back, "Got it. I'll keep an eye out. If Mark's gunning for Ethan's spot, he's about to cross paths with me, the Air Force liaison who holds the real power over that $1.5 billion contract. He doesn't know it yet, but he's out of his depth." I lay the uniform across the bed, smoothing a crease. My mind drifts to the operation that got me this rank. 3 years ago, in a nondescript server room in Germany, I led a team to stop a ransomware attack targeting NATO logistics. We worked 48 hours straight, coffee and adrenaline our only fuel, decoding malware that could have paralyzed supply lines. When we neutralized it, General Susan Hayes called me directly. "You saved more than data. Thompson," she said. That mission fast-tracked me to Major. Then Lieutenant Colonel by 29. A pace rare, but not impossible for Cyber Command's best. My family never asked about it. They were too busy toasting Ethan's latest Apex bonus. I pull out my tablet, opening my gala notes. The speech is technical network hardening, threat vectors, budget oversight, but it's also my chance to stand tall. I rehearse a line under my breath. This contract demands precision, from code to execution. As liaison, I ensure it delivers. The words feel solid, like the weight of my insignia. Mark's scheming nags at me. If he undermines Ethan, it could ripple to the project's stability. And I won't let that happen, not for Ethan, but for the mission I've sworn to protect. I tweak my questions, sharpening them to probe any flaws in Mark's or Ethan's plans. Ever prepped for a moment where you had to prove yourself? No room for error. Drop it in the comments. I stand, catching my reflection in the mirror. Steady eyes, squared shoulders. The girl who left Asheville is gone. Tomorrow, Lieutenant Colonel Claire Thompson takes the stage, and no one, not Ethan, not Mark, not my family will see me as anything less. The Apex Security Solutions headquarters rises against the Asheville dusk, its glass walls glowing like a beacon of ambition. I ease into the parking spot marked Military Liaison, my pulse steady but quick, a rhythm honed by years of high-stakes ops. My dress uniform hugs my frame, the silver eagle insignia on my collar catching the last of the sunlight. I check my reflection in the car window, hair pinned tight, eyes sharp, every button polished. This gala isn't just an event. It's the moment I step out of my family's shadow. I step onto the pavement, the evening air cool against my skin. The lot hums with Apex staff suits, crisp, dresses sparkling, their chatter softening as they spot my uniform. A security guard at the entrance straightens, his voice respectful. "Lieutenant Colonel Thompson." "Good evening." "Ma'am?" He scans my ID, his brow lifting slightly at my clearance level. You're expected in the ballroom. Need an escort. I shake my head. I know the way. My boots click with purpose as I cross the lobby. Its marble floors and soaring Apex logo, a testament to the world my family worships. Employees pause mid-sentence, their glances a mix of curiosity and deference. A young coder whispers to her friend, "That's a colonel." She's gotta be, 30? I keep moving, my focus on the elevator ahead. The doors slide open, and there's Ethan, clutching a tablet, his face tight with pre-gala nerves. He looks up, his eyes narrowing as they land on my insignia. "Claire, what's this getup?" His tone's sharp, less mocking than confused, like he's sensing a shift he can't name. "Good evening." "Ethan," I say, my voice calm, professional. "I'm here for the contract review." His jaw twitches, but before he can press, my father, Richard, steps into view, a stack of note cards in hand. He freezes, his gaze flicking from my uniform to the silver eagle. "Claire, why are you dressed like that?" There's a tremor in his voice. Not anger, but unease. Like I've walked into his domain unannounced. "I'm attending the gala." "Dad," I reply, meeting his eyes. The meeting's about to start. A woman in a tailored blazer, her name tag reads, Ellen. Project manager steps forward, her face lighting with recognition. "Lieutenant Colonel Thompson, we're honored you're here in person. We expected a video call." Richard's expression shifts, a flicker of something doubt. Maybe that I file away for later. I nod to Ellen. "Happy to be here. I'll see you all in the ballroom." As I step into the elevator, I catch a glimpse of Mark Tanner in the lobby. His slick smile aimed my way. He thinks I'm a bystander, some ceremonial figurehead. Let him. His miscalculation will cost him. Ever walked into a space knowing you're about to rewrite the rules? Share it in the comments. The elevator hums upward, my hand brushing the silver eagle. The doors open, and I step out, ready to claim my place not as their sister or daughter, but as the officer I am. The ballroom doors part, revealing a cascade of light from chandeliers that glitter like stars over Asheville's elite. The Apex Gala pulses with energy executives in tailored suits, engineers in sleek dresses, their voices blending into a hum of ambition. My dress uniform stands out, the silver eagle insignia on my collar drawing glances that linger. I navigate the crowd, my boots steady on the polished oak floor, and take my seat at the head table, the placard reading Colonel Claire Thompson, Air Force Liaison. My family's out there somewhere, but I don't look for them. My focus is the mission. Patricia Lang, Apex's CEO, strides to the podium, her presence silencing the room. She's a force, steely, brilliant, the kind of leader who reshaped defense tech. Tonight, she begins, her voice clear. "We celebrate Apex's role in a $1.5 billion Air Force contract for cybersecurity innovation." The crowd applauds, sharp and eager. Her eyes find me, a spark of respect in them. "We're privileged to have Lieutenant Colonel Claire Thompson here, our Air Force liaison, overseeing this critical project. Colonel, please join me." A murmur ripples through the room as I rise, my posture honed by years of command. I catch Ethan's face in the crowd, his tablet clutched tight, his expression a mix of shock and something sharper betrayal. Maybe. Richard's beside him, his eyes wide, like he's seeing me for the first time. I step to the podium, my voice steady, deliberate. "Thank you. CEO Lang, this contract is about more than technology. It's about securing our nation's defenses against threats most will never see. As liaison, I ensure every protocol, every system meets the Air Force's exacting standards. The room leans in, executives scribbling notes, their respect palpable. Patricia cues the screen, a diagram of the contract's framework glowing behind us. I dive into specifics: zero trust architecture, real-time intrusion detection, budget allocations, my words precise, drawn from missions where precision meant survival. Questions come, and I answer with clarity, citing threat models and compliance benchmarks. Then it's Ethan's turn. He approaches the podium, his usual confidence frayed. As team lead for system integration, he starts, his voice catching. I've developed a streamlined approach. His slides falter, latency issues unaddressed, redundancy protocols vague. I lean forward, my tone professional but pointed. Mr. Thompson, how do you mitigate cross-system delays under high-threat conditions? Ethan hesitates, his face flushing. Mark Tanner seizes the moment, standing. If I may, I've got a proposal that I cut in. Calm, but firm. Mr. Tanner, your team's last audit skipped critical failover tests. How do you justify that Mark's slick grin fades, his bravado crumbling? The room shifts. All eyes on me. Patricia steps up, her nod approving. Colonel Thompson's insight is why this project will lead the industry. Applause erupts, loud and genuine. Ethan slinks back to his seat. Richard's face unreadable. Ever stood in your truth and watched the room change? Share it in the comments. I return to my seat, the Silver Eagle steady. The gala hums on, but my place is set not just here, but in the world I've built. The ballroom's glow fades as the last guests drift out, their laughter echoing off the marble walls. I linger by the head table, folding my notes with deliberate care. The Silver Eagle insignia on my collar a quiet weight. The gala's triumph hums in my veins, but I feel the storm brewing. My father, Richard, stands near the exit, his shoulders stiff, his face caught between awe and unease. Ethan hovers beside him, his tablet abandoned, his jaw tight with something raw anger. Maybe or shame. My mother, Margaret, must have driven over after a frantic call, because she's here now, her scarf clutched like a shield, her eyes darting between us. Richard clears his throat, his voice low. Claire, we need to talk. My office. I nod, gesturing down the hall. Lead the way. We walk in silence, my boots steady against the polished floor, their steps uneven. Richard's office is stark glass desk, Apex awards on the shelves, a view of Asheville's twinkling lights. I close the door and stand, hands clasped behind my back, my posture honed by years of facing generals. Ethan doesn't wait. What was that? Claire. His voice is sharp, but there's a crack in it, like he's unraveling. You waltz in, take over the gala, and make me look like an idiot in front of Patricia. You knew I was pitching for that contract. I meet his gaze, calm but unflinching. I didn't waltz anywhere. Ethan, I've been the Air Force liaison for 6 months. I invited you to my promotion ceremonies, Captain, Major, Lieutenant Colonel. You never came. None of you did. Margaret steps forward, her voice trembling. We didn't understand. Claire, you never explained all this. She gestures vaguely at my uniform, her eyes glistening. We thought you were just doing desk work, moving around. The words sting, but I keep my tone even. I sent emails about my deployments, articles when my work was declassified. You knew I was an officer. You just didn't care enough to ask what it meant. Richard sinks into his chair, rubbing his temples. Lieutenant Colonel at 29, that's not small. Claire, why didn't you tell us it was this big? His voice is softer now, less accusation than confusion. I pause, choosing my words. I tried, but every call, every visit, it was Ethan's promotions, Apex's deals. Last night, you asked if I was still a major. You didn't even know my rank. Ethan paces, his voice quieter, raw. I thought I had to be the best. Claire, Mom, and Dad, they always compared us. Even if they didn't say it. I figured you were just coasting in the military. His admission catches me off guard. A glimpse of the brother I used to know. Margaret's lip trembles. We wanted you to be secure. Like Ethan. We didn't know your world. Richard stands, extending his hand, his voice thick. I misjudged you. Claire, I'm sorry. I take his hand, the gesture formal but real. Thank you. Dad. Ever faced a truth that shifted everything, share it in the comments. I step back, the silver eagle steady. This isn't closure, but it's a crack in the wall between us. And for now, that's enough. The Charlotte skyline shimmers beyond my condo's windows, a mosaic of lights against the night. Inside, my dining table is alive with the clink of glasses and the warm scent of braised short ribs. A meal I've spent hours perfecting. 6 months have passed since the Apex Gala, since the night my family saw me, Lieutenant Colonel Claire Thompson. Not the shadow they'd imagined. Tonight, they're here, in my space, and the air carries a cautious ease, like a song we're learning to play together. My father, Richard, arrives first, holding a framed copy of a trade magazine article about the Apex contract's early successes. My name's in the byline, alongside General Susan Hayes and Patricia Lang. Figured you'd want this, he says, his voice gruff but warm. Got one on my desk at Apex? Folks ask about you now. His eyes crinkle, a pride I'm still getting used to. I take the frame, my chest tightening. Thanks, Dad. That's really thoughtful. Margaret steps through the door next. A Tupperware of homemade cornbread in her hands, a recipe I loved as a kid. She's trying, her movements less stiff than they were in Asheville. Your place is so modern. Claire, she says, glancing at the clean lines of my furniture, the abstract art on the walls. It suits you. I smile, catching the effort in her words. Glad you think so. Mom, military life keeps me organized. Ethan and Lauren arrive last, a bottle of bourbon in tow. Ethan's demeanor has softened, the sharp edges of his Apex swagger dulled by time. Claire, he says, setting the bottle down. Your encryption tweaks saved our demo last month. Client called it bulletproof. Had to tell him it was your brain, not mine. His grin is sheepish, and I raise an eyebrow. Took you long enough to admit it, Lauren laughs, her usual polish giving way to something warmer. He's learning. We gather around the table, the conversation tentative but real. Margaret asks about my work, her questions careful but curious. What's it like? Managing those cyber things I pause, choosing words she'll grasp. It's like solving a puzzle under pressure. One wrong move. And systems hospitals. Bases could go dark. Richard leans in, his usual Apex focus replaced by attention. Never thought of it that way. You're out there fighting wars we don't see. His voice holds a respect that feels new, earned. Ethan shares a story about a recent Apex project, then pauses, his eyes meeting mine. You set a high bar. Claire, I'm glad we're on the same side now. It's not an apology, but it's close, and I nod, letting it settle. The doorbell rings, and General Susan Hayes steps in, her civilian sweater not dimming her commanding air. "Claire, you've outdone yourself," she says, her smile wide as I introduce her to my family. Richard shakes her hand. "Ernest, General, you saw what we didn't. Thank you. Ever rebuilt a bridge with someone you thought was lost to you? Share it in the comments. As we eat, I feel the weight of old hurts easing. Not gone, but lighter. My family's learning to see me, and I'm learning to let them try. The dining table is strewn with empty plates, the remnants of cornbread crumbs and bourbon glasses catching the soft glow of my condo's lights. Charlotte's skyline pulses beyond the windows, a quiet reminder of how far I've come from Asheville's familiar streets. My family lingers Richard, his tie loosened, sharing a rare laugh with General Susan Hayes. Margaret, stacking dishes with a care that feels like an olive branch. Ethan, quieter now, his usual bravado replaced by something thoughtful. 6 months ago, I stood in Apex's ballroom, my silver eagle insignia a defiant truth against their doubts. Tonight, we're not whole, not yet, but we're building something real. I lean back, coffee mug warm in my hands, and let the moment sink in. That gala wasn't just about proving I was Lieutenant Colonel Claire Thompson, Cyber Command's youngest at 29. It was about claiming a truth I'd carried alone through deployments, through missed calls, through years of my family seeing only the girl I'd left behind. The road here wasn't clean or easy, but it taught me lessons I'll carry forward, ones I hope resonate with you. First, own your choice. The world your parents, your siblings, your town might have a script for you. Apex was mine. A ready-made path to corner offices and lake houses. I chose the Air Force, a life of puzzles and pressure, because it fit the fire in me. Your path might not look like anyone else's, but if it's yours, walk it with your head up. Doubt's loud, but purpose is louder. Second, let go to grow. My family's dismissal cut deep. Each dinner a reminder of what they didn't see. Holding that hurt was like carrying a rucksack I didn't need. Forgiving them. Richard's pride. Margaret's questions. Ethan's honesty didn't erase the past, but it freed me to build a future. Keep the lessons, but release the weight. You're stronger without it. Third, show up as you are. Ethan's boasts. Mark's schemes. My parents' expectations, words are noise. I didn't argue at that gala. I stood, uniform crisp, and let my work speak years of stopping threats, shaping a $1.5 billion contract. Your truth doesn't need a megaphone. Show it in what you do, and the right people will see. I've known others who've walked this road, friends whose dreams were called impractical, whose wins went unnoticed. Their stories, like mine, remind me resilience isn't just grit. It's choosing yourself when others don't. Claire's choice. Air Force over Apex. Mission over comfort mirrors those quiet battles we all face, the ones that shape who we become. Ever found strength in proving yourself, not for others, but for you? Drop it in the comments. Hit that like. And subscribe for more stories of standing tall. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Their path counts, even if it's unseen. I clear the table. Richard's hand brushing my shoulder as he leaves. "You're something, Claire," he says, voice rough. I nod, the silver eagle in my pocket a steady weight. The victory wasn't their nod. It was becoming me, no matter who looked. The condo's quiet now, the city alive outside. I'm home, not in Asheville, but in the life I've built, and that's everything.